It's a beautiful and of course quite windy day here in beautiful Washougal, Washington. Are you ready to learn all about what it's like to live here? Well, why don't you join me as I take a tour. We're going to go through downtown together and we are going to talk all about what it's like to live right here in Washougal, Washington. Are you ready to join me? Well, here we go. Hey everybody, it's your host here, Dave Baker, coming to you from downtown Washougal, Washington. Now, if you are ready to learn all about what it's like to live in Washougal, to live in Camas, to live anywhere in Vancouver or Southwest Washington, then make sure you tap that little subscribe button and of course, click that little bell so that you'll be notified every time I put out a new video. Now, if you are already thinking about moving out here, well, you have got to work with a team that is dedicated to helping you find the perfect place and who knows how to get the deal done. So what do you have to do? Not much, we make it easy. Just reach out to us and connect. You can send us a text message, you can send us an email, you can give us a call on the phone 24/7. If you're ready, click the link below and get on the calendar and schedule a call, and a member of the team will get the ball rolling so that we can help you with your move here to Washougal, Washington. All right, let's get started as we walk together through downtown Washougal, Washington. Now, just for reference, we're gonna start right here on the corner of Pendleton and Main Street. I'm gonna take you in both directions so that you can see the neighborhood as I tell you more about the city. Right behind me, of course, is the town square. And again, that is on Main Street, right next to the corner of Pendleton and Main. If the Pendleton name sounds familiar to you, that's because you've probably heard of Pendleton, Oregon, which is going to be further east from here through the gorge. Okay, let's start talking about some of the things and the basic information about Washougal in case you haven't been here and you're not super familiar with the neighborhood. As I walk along the street, I might stop for a few moments and tell you about some of the historical things because this town has been around for a long time. And while we're at it, let's get started right now. Take a quick peek here. This is a statue. This statue is of a Newfoundland dog, right? And that is one of the things about this city that's really interesting. It was part of the Lewis and Clark Trail when they came out here, and the Newfoundland is the type of dog that traveled with them while they were on their route, going along and exploring all these new places, discovering all these new cities. If you are not from the Pacific Northwest, but you want to learn a little bit about the history, it's really interesting to note that there are a lot of times you're going to see information about the Lewis and Clark Trail and their journey coming out here through Washington, Oregon, and similar parts of the Northwest. Okay, let's start talking a little bit about Washougal and give you some of the facts. So as of the last census, about 10,000 to 12,000 people inhabit Washougal. So obviously those numbers have gone up, right? Because if you're watching this video, you already know that Washougal is a place where people are looking at moving. And the migration here, the number of people moving into the state and moving into these cities is growing. Now, where is Washougal located? Okay, Washougal is the last, dare I say, real town or real city or fully developed area that you have as you're traveling east along the Columbia Gorge. It's off Highway 14 in Washington. You could call it a suburb of Vancouver, Washington. So you have Vancouver, and as you head east, you'll have Camas, which we're going to talk about in another video. Make sure you watch our Camas video too. And then you have Washougal. So Vancouver, Camas, and Washougal. And where are you traveling? You're traveling through the Columbia River Gorge. And again, that's on Highway 14 on the Washington side of the Columbia River. This is really the last city. And I think of this as kind of the last stop every time I go out to Hood River. You might have heard of Hood River. It's a very well-known town. It's the last place where you're going to have a lot of housing, you're going to have downtown, you're going to have development, and you're going to have, a more established city with a lot of services. There are other cities or little towns along the way. Of course, you've got Stevenson, Washington. You've got some other parts. But I think this is going to be the last stop for a lot of people. I'm going to tell you as well, by the way, not just some history, but I'm going to give you some things I love about this city. And not just some, some numbers, but I really want to talk to you about what makes this place cool and different. So, just to go over a few more numbers, right now, as of the time I make this video, I'm seeing that the average home price in Washougal is, in fact, now over $500,000. So that's quite a change from so many things so many numbers we used to see, right? You used to think of cities in Southwest Washington as having homes that were very, very low priced, but that's just not the reality anymore. So the deal is, yeah, we're seeing over $500,000 as the average home price. Obviously that can change, that's gonna fluctuate. But where things stand right now, prices are still climbing quite a bit. Why is that? Sometimes people will ask me, well, why are home prices going up? I mean, generally speaking, it's simply supply and demand, right? So if there's a lot of demand and there aren't enough homes for sale and there aren't enough opportunities for people to buy new places, the prices are going to go up, right? Very simple, very straightforward. Let's turn around together as we've kind of approached the end of this downtown area. So, I always like to make a list for you, right? If you watch my videos, I'm always rattling off numbers 1 through 5. Well, I want to go, in not a specific order, but I want to tell you something like I really like about Washougal. And I guess we could call that number 1 on the list. The first thing that I really like about Washougal is that it has a downtown, okay? It has its own commercial center. And I'm going to try to take you through as much of it as I can. If you're watching my videos about Southwest Washington, about Oregon, about Portland, about all these places, you probably know that there's this one word I really use with a positive tone whenever I'm talking, and that is convenience, okay? I love when there's a sense of convenience because I like when it's easy to do something, right? I don't want to drive 25 miles every time I want to do anything. And I learned this, okay? Here's the deal. I have tried going to a place where things are significantly further away. And I have to tell you, it's not as enjoyable for me. I know there are some people out there who want to really get some land and be far out of a city. But what I've found in my experience is that I love when you have a central downtown area like this. Now, although I use the word downtown, I don't want you to think this is some huge metropolis. I mean, we just discussed that less than 15,000 people currently live in the city. So you know it's not a huge city. But at least there's something to it, right? What I love about having a downtown is that it creates a feeling of community. It gives you like a central place to go when you want to go out. I mean, just as I'm walking, I've passed a bar, I passed another eating establishment. Coming up now, we've got a yoga place, so you know it's getting trendy, right? We've got a boutique, a beauty bar, beauty lounge as they're calling it. And I think that's really cool. The thing is, when I'm looking at places to live, and let me know what you think. Drop a note in the comments. Is this important to you? I like to be in a city where there's a centralized area where I can go and have fun, where I can go out on a Friday night, where I can go do things, and where, again, I don't have to drive so far to do anything. And I think that's really great when you have something like that. And this place, it does offer you that. Right now we're passing a Chinese restaurant, and on the other side of the street, you've got a paint store. Might be working on your house one day, who knows? So I'm putting that on the top of the list, okay? Washougal has its own downtown. And if you're thinking of living anywhere in the Southwest Washington area, I want to remind you that Washougal, Camas, and Vancouver all have their own downtowns. So they all have a centralized place where you can go. Something else about having this area here is that I think it gives you an opportunity to have a little bit more family-friendly place, because you can also, well, what you'll notice is that they have events in the downtown area, right? They'll have like little festivals, they'll have events for kids and families, and they have a central place to do them. Sometimes if you live in a city with a large park, you'll notice that things happen in large parks. But in this case, it's a perfect place where they can have events that the family can come out to and enjoy. Since we're talking about families, let's just touch on the schools here. Because the population is, less than 15,000, clearly the schools aren't huge, but there are schools for all grades. Okay, so you don't have to worry that you have to send your kid out, 30, 40 minutes to go to school, which I've seen in some smaller towns. I mean, I've seen the bus. I mean, it's pretty crazy to me. I never had to go, 30 or 40 minutes to get to school, but I've talked to some families that's something that they do. So that's why I like, again, being in more of a city like this. The schools are here. You've got your middle school, you got your elementary, you've got the schools you'll need for your kids. All right. We've got to talk about something else that you can literally see happening in this video, and that is the wind. What's the deal with the wind? Well, first of all, it is winter. Okay, so to be fair, it is possibly windier in the winter. But if you're comparing Washougal, Washington to, say, Portland, Oregon, or even if you're looking at Camas and you're comparing again to Portland, thinking, oh, the weather's the same because they're 20 miles apart, that's not correct. This is the deal. You are in the Columbia River Gorge. So in the gorge, which is one of the most famous things in Oregon and Washington, you're going to have more wind. That's why you see the trees blowing here. The wind is not so out of control that you have to, be worried, but it is a factor. So be aware that there is some wind here. Let's pause 1 second and take a look at this sign. There's a new library coming. All right, now there's already a library here, but once again, we were talking about family items and kids and schooling. Well, there's a new library coming. And what does that tell you? There's some development going on. Usually, if a city is building, that suggests that more and more people are moving there, right? So here's the deal. There is actually some development going on here. Okay, this is not a town that I'm seeing as a place that's shrinking. You keep hearing about people moving all over the country, okay? I see it constantly. Probably it's because I'm always looking at houses, looking at places to live, thinking about that stuff. But I want to say that there are people moving here and in the surrounding neighborhoods. So, for example, obviously if you're watching my videos about Vancouver or other parts of Southwest Washington, you already know that Vancouver is growing, right? Vancouver has the waterfront. Vancouver already had the downtown, but now they have the waterfront. But here's the deal. There is a waterfront development coming to Washougal. Yeah, I was so excited when I saw that. I mean, it was so nice to see they're building a new waterfront development, which means, well, it means a few things to me. First of all, it means that they assume the population is going to continue to grow, right? Because you wouldn't build a development if there were no people around. And that's just logical. Let's head back through the rest of this part of downtown. I'm going to show you some of the housing in a later video, but I just want to kind of soak in this area so you can see some of the cafes and things that we passed. So there's development coming here because you have the waterfront coming, this new development. And that tells me two things. The first one I mentioned was already they think the population's going to grow. That means more people are going to move here, right? The second thing is that when you have a big development like this waterfront project coming, well, that to me tells me that the city is interested in really doing something for the people. They're interested in developing it and making the city a better place to live. Now, obviously there's economic interests, but there are economic factors too, right? There's a risk. So people are taking a risk. Whoever's involved in this development is taking some risk and they're willing to do it here. So, being a smaller town, by the way, I think that they pair up a little bit with Camas because there is a Camas and Washougal Economic Development Association of some kind, and the two cities are, teaming up to make sure to help bring tourists, help support the city, and things like that. So, hi. All right. What just happened there? Someone waved at me and said hello. So that's something else. I got to talk about another item on the list that I love. We covered number one, there's a downtown. Covered number two, there's some stuff for families and schools. Number three, there's development going on, right? It's good to see development. You don't want to be in a place that's drying up because it can affect your home value, right? And it also affects your quality of life potentially. Now, let's talk about the next item. We've covered those three. Let's talk about number 4. The gentleman who just waved at me. Well, that's item number 4 on my list. The people here are friendly. In this part of the country, I have to say, I find that people are incredibly friendly, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I want to be in a place where people are really nice. So here's what I experience. I noticed that in Portland, if you're from Portland, thinking of moving up here, or if you're visited there, you know it's famous because the people are really nice. Well, here in Washington, the people are super nice as well, particularly in this part of Washington. I want you to remember, this is Southwest Washington. Don't confuse this with Seattle. That's not here. That's far. That's 2.5 hours away. Okay, it's not far. It's 2.5 hours away. But here's the deal. People in Southwest Washington are so nice. I get such a friendly vibe. People are always saying hi to me, always saying hello, always just being nice. And they wave at me. We talk. I've talked to so many locals. It's great. I love the vibe. And I've got to put that on my list as a major thing that I love about being here. I love how nice the people are. I love how friendly everyone is. And with that comes like a helpful vibe. It comes with a sense of community. And I love a good sense of community. I do. I really appreciate it. And that's something I do feel here when I've been talking to people. I mean, I've been here a bunch of times, obviously. You know, whether I just came downtown just to grab some food, or I was going along the Columbia River and I was doing something, but it really gives me a good feeling when people see me and, you know, I'm making the videos and they say hi and they ask what I'm doing and they ask if they can help or be included. I mean, wow, what a feeling. So those are some of the top things that I love about Washougal, Washington. Now, if you've never been here, or you're just getting started and you're thinking of moving out here, well, no problem. Whether you've been here or not, whether you're a local and you want to buy a new place, or whether you are transplanting in from another location, whether you're coming from another state or coming from, you know, the north part of Washington, whether you're coming from Spokane on the east, you have got to reach out to us, okay? All you have to do is send me an email, send me a text message, give me a call on the phone, okay? 24/7. Yeah, just call me on the phone, send me a text message, and we're gonna get the team to help you with your move out here to Washougal, Washington, and any of the areas around here, okay? If you're thinking about Camas and you can't decide, thinking about Vancouver, you're not sure what to do, even if you're thinking about Portland, Oregon, no problem, all right? The team is ready to help you with your move anywhere in Washington or Oregon. In fact, Idaho too. All right, everybody, I can't wait to hear from you, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care.